I'm not going to stop what I'm doing because the state is in effect with bureaucracy. Testing this new, it's not new, it's like a 2015, couldn't even find a software update for it, firmware update for it, so it wasn't that expensive, and if it does a decent job, hello, and welcome to another video, shot on a GoPro. And what I'm talking about currently is whether I'm going to stay or not, right? So I've been like having issues. The colder it gets, I got this problem. Colder it gets, I've had hoses freeze up and filters freeze and break. And so I started sticking that stuff in the back of the truck, the filters, and the hose froze up. So I stopped. I used to keep the hose screwed to the connector on the end of the cistern, just not to lose all that water every time, right? So I take the hose off, it drains out. Okay, so I've got to this point, right? Well, now I'm to the point where I've got like probably about a month's water left right now, right? A month, unless it freezes. I got 4 days coming up here that are straight frozen, straight on through, right? That's going to make it hard to do anything. So I looked up and started thinking about possibly building out a system to try to stay a little longer, make it a little easier to be here, right? So basically that's pretty big hassle every day to go hook up one end of the hose, hook up the other end of the hose, turn it on, run up here to find that the hose is squirted out of the fill, right? So there's a fill port where I can fill the tank in the trailer, and then there's a hose connection that I can plug into pressurized water. So basically the trailer has a pressure pump inside of it that it uses to pressurize the system, or I can use another pressurized system, right? Okay, I found this pump here. I'm just going to show you GoPro style. And this is something I could build myself, but it's just so nicely sourced and all put together. So this is the thing here, right? And basically it's just a pump in a box. So you just simply hook it up to garden hoses, which that's what the trailer uses, is garden hoses. So that would be one part of it. Then using one of these heated hoses here, nothing fancy, but it just plugs in. So that pump's actually DC, and that thing's actually AC. I have AC outside with the trailer. I put an AC plug out there, so unfortunately it's buried in straw, but no big deal. I run an extension cord, then I get another box, a big watertight, like a bin, maybe one of those rough bins that the lid's clamped down really tight because the wind's crazy. Because I'm gonna move the cistern. The cistern's like 250 feet away from the trailer. That's where the cistern was, like one of the first things that I brought here. And I put it where I put it because I had literally no machinery to get it in and have a nice flat ground. All I had was a shovel. So I basically just chose a spot that was, right on the little road that I had, which wasn't much when I first got here. So that's where it went in. And then all the water I got from that to fill that, I just used it. When I first started working out here, I was staying at a RV space, and I just got there, plugged in the water, and filled my thing up, brought it in, and so that's about now there's a place where I can go buy water and all this. So I have about 1,000 gallons left, and the water's going to be freezing soon. That's about a month's worth of water. I haven't filled it up because I want to move the tank. So at this point, I'm having so many problems with the water situation, right? So the water tank being full, that's going to be a huge benefit. Like, that's going to be harder for it to freeze than if it, is half empty. So keeping it full, is how I'm going to operate. And also I'm going to put a pump, which that's the one thing I haven't found yet, is a good pump to put inside of it to circulate it to keep it from freezing. So put a pump inside of it that just spins around, just pumps around in there and just keeps the water moving where it can't freeze. And then it goes down to the bottom where I'll tap in the plumbing hose, just super simple stuff. And to that little box, I'll cut a hole in the bottom of the other tote. I'll put the tote to where the plumbing out of the bottom of the cistern goes into the tote, right? And I'm even thinking about maybe doing 2 totes, like doing a really big tote and then a smaller tote, and then filling the difference in between the 2 totes with insulation. Then that hose will be in there, and that's a 25-foot hose. And I'm going to move the cistern. So what my plan is, I'm thinking now is I'm going to order these parts. When I have all the parts here, I'll drain whatever water I have left in the cistern. And I'll keep, like whatever I can keep. Oh, I'll go tell my neighbor. And I'll hook him up with the water too. Man, he probably has a place he could just take it all. That's a good idea instead of just dumping it. Yeah, so I'll give it to my neighbor instead. So, then I'll have prepared the area right up next to the trailer. So the cistern will just be butted right up next to it. Literally might even be touching. That'd probably be a benefit for distance, keeping the distance really short. I might have it a couple feet away. I don't know. Probably not literally touching. So I'll pay. There's companies that deliver water. So I'll just pay because to fill up a 2,500 gallon tank is about 10 trips. And each one of those trips is an hour round trip and $6, right? And then the whole pumping process. So that's fine to keep up. So I can go grab water, when it's convenient and top it off, and just kind of do it on, maybe like once a week or something like that. But getting the thing filled all the way up from the start and just keeping it filled is going to be a lot easier to keep it from freezing, which is really kind of the key right now. I've already bought a heated hose, but the thing literally already broke. the end of the hose that screws on broke off. Like, not even the heater function. Like, I literally never even got to test the heater function in this hose that I bought. That Camco stuff is just... Anyway, so I found this higher quality one. This one has great reviews. Nobody's saying it broke in 2 seconds, which there's a million on this hose that I bought. It says that, right? And a ton of other complaints about it too. So this hose, I'm thinking that the majority of the hose is going to be with inside, so the heat, it's going to keep like the pump warm from freezing. This is what I should say. I hope it's going to keep the pump from freezing. It's going to keep the connection to the cistern, like that whole entire, all the way up to the side of the trailer, right? That is the hope. Now, the water, I have no idea what it costs to get 2,500 gallons delivered. It's all a guess. What if it's 25 cents a gallon? What if? $600. Oh. What if it's 10 cents a gallon? $250. 10 hours of driving for $250. Sounds like a good deal to me. $600? Yeah. So we'll see how much that whole thing's going to cost. But just the parts, I haven't found the pump that's... The hard part's find a pump that is for water, drinking water, that can run 24/7. Just constantly. And I think maybe something for fish might be... It doesn't have to be super... I don't know. I mean, it needs to move the water around in a 2,500 gallon tank. So, yeah. So that's the plan. To just try to stick it out here. I mean, like, at that point, I should buy a backup generator. Because, like, everything kind of revolves around. I should get a big-ass propane tank and a backup generator. Because if I had, like, a generator go out in the middle of the night and it was, like, going to be hella freezing. I guess it would depend on when it went out. Like, if I had a generator go out, like, the worst-case scenario would be, let's say it's, like, Sunday night because nothing's open. And then it's, like... It's been like rainy all day, so the solar hasn't charged anything at all. But I haven't run the generator, so it's been like okay. But then as soon as the sun goes down, the batteries start to just almost like get in the die mode, and then like I should turn the generator on, and it's broken right then and there. Like, what would I do at that point? I would have no way of charging the batteries. The batteries are almost dead. Yeah. I don't know how many years these generators are rated for, but like I don't want to put my cat's life in the hands of a generator that was most likely built in China. 2 generators that were built in China, I'd probably be okay, right? So, I mean, I'm basically buying stuff, trying not to spend money on stuff that I can't use for other things. Like, just to spend a ton of money just to stay here for this winter, for this one winter when I'm in a trailer. Like this hose. I've now bought 2 heated hoses. I might be able to return the other one, but probably not. It's been so long. Because I bought it early because it was going to be, anyway. Things like that, This pump in this suitcase, I could take that all apart and that could be the pump I use for my system. So that's not a waste of money. I'm probably paying a premium to have it put in that case, and there's a filter and all that other stuff. But yeah, you pay a premium sometimes when... Yeah, sourcing all those parts, like you start off by ordering the pump, and then you get the pump here, and then it's like, oh, I gotta get these parts, and so you go to some place, and maybe they'll have a few parts, and maybe you'll go someplace else, and yeah, it just becomes a freaking such a nightmare building custom stuff. And building custom stuff when you're off grid, like, that's like a whole nother level. Because like, I've built stuff where I've had to run to the hardware store 6 times in one day. You get to a point on a project and you're just stuck and you can't go any further. And I guess I suck at looking into the future on my projects because I just go, I need this part. Vroom, off to the hardware store, find the part, come back. And sometimes I'm finding parts that aren't even parts. Like, I'm just looking for something that building props and sets and all this stuff. Like, I'm looking for just something that looks like something, or something that works in this specific way. But for something that has, there's no relation to it anywhere. So I'm looking through every aisle of hardware stores looking for just these right little things. Okay, find it, great, something that will work or whatever. Off, back there, back to work. Okay, that worked perfect. Literally 6 times, more than one occasion. Never more than 6 though. So, point being, I'm off grid, and off grid is just like a whole new level of You can't drive to the hardware store 6 times in one day off grid. That's ridiculous. It's like the closest hardware store, and it's not even that good. Like, to get to a decent hardware store is like 45 minutes, 50 minutes solid. Yeah, okay. So that's why I'm looking at buying these parts, plug and play, basically, on Amazon. I'm getting back onto Amazon after years of not messing. I never really bought stuff on Amazon. I did a little bit. I was never like, oh, everything I bought. But now I'm going to buy some stuff on Amazon. I hope I don't get screwed. I don't like this, like, sellers. Like, you could just be dealing with any old douchebag, like, with Amazon signing off on them, you know. Okay, so I'm going to build this thing, and there'll be video of this, and then video if it works or not. We'll see if I can actually... I should be okay for this cold snap. Like, the steps that I have taken, in theory, are going to make it so this trailer can go all the way down to, I would hope, like, maybe 5 degrees in this configuration, right? The water situation, that's like, oh, I get that. And then I might have a problem where it gets down so cold that I have to do some sort of heating underneath the trailer. You know, I don't know. I'm just, you know, I'm going day by day. And honestly, I'm not getting much work done on the projects. The DEQ is not answering my calls about trying to get permitted for my sewage treatment plant. At what point do I just say, you guys, you know, you want to hold back progress, you know, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing because the state is ineffective bureaucrocy. I mean, they have laws that say they got to do it. So, thing with the state people, I've recognized, like, they're just that clock puncher level people. Like, they don't work 24/7 like makers do. Like, makers do stuff all the time. People that work for the government, they like work 9 to 5 or whatever, and then they work their 8-hour day, and then they go home and they watch TV or something. I mean, I don't know, but they're just like a different kind of people, I've noticed. You know, there's not a lot of creativity or emotion or originality. I mean, they're just kind of there punching their clock, living their just kind of basic lives, you know. That's why they went into that, because it's just one of those, you know, easy regimen. Nothing's gonna, you know, they're not gonna have to think out of the box or gonna have to come up with some kind, you know, they just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, and 1, 2, 3, and that's it, you know, and that's fine, but I'm not going to live my life by that kind of horse. I got things to do. We got a planet to repair, right? And septic systems are nasty. Sewage treatment plants rock.